Today I am bestowing the empowerment for the Vajrasattva, the offering ritual to Guru Vajrasattva.
Chidangayang around the Wang Shumanu and over once again the Karim and Hamako and the entire Mongolian Bakau, the Tindikan, once again the Karim Metan, in a Wang Shun at Bakari Metan, Tinzukitoni, Tosi, Mashipaina, Tos Mindig Samne, Dignity Tos shape you, Tavishigins.
The empowerment manual I'm using contains a brief explanation of the empowerment. Most of you here have probably received many tantric empowerments already in the past and probably are quite well versed in empowerment. You're probably familiar with the process of empowerment, what it means and so on. It's possible and likely that there are some new students here though who haven't received empowerment and who aren't so familiar. And generally when new students are being given tantric empowerment, then it's important to explain actually the process of empowerment, what empowerment means, what are the benefits and so on. So I will try and do that a little bit now.
Around the Shanton, Potume Pacheco was in a Semjan Tamje, and Lama Shas Obergo Doji, Simplication to Tenem Sam Semjan Jungo Barjabo Ryan, Tene Lama Doji Simplicitene, took it to Balatene, Tene Ryan, Tene Sanji, Copana Puchetubo, Yabigi, Ranshan Semjan Tamji, Popon Mebrajo, Yabigone, Tene Wang Shikiti, Kumontilagores.
Generally speaking, whenever receiving empowerment, one must do so with the motivation of bodhicitta, the heart of awakening, or the mindset on enlightenment. This means that in this specific context, I'm bestowing the empowerment and you're receiving the empowerment of the offering ritual to Guru Vajrasattva. So in this case, our motivation should be, I will now receive this empowerment and having received it, put it into practice, in order that I may establish myself and all mother sentient beings who are limitless in number as the expanse of space, at the level of perfect enlightenment, the state of Guru Vajrasattva himself, and his pure realm, his enlightened pure realm of great delight. So I'm receiving this empowerment so that I can establish all sentient beings at that state, and also establish that state, the enlightened state of Vajrasattva, for myself as well.
Tindikan Lama got singing some what the singing it rap ding Tassum doji, Yeshe, Tangaranzo, the kitchen of the Sunda, and Chimailing the Suntan, the name that the Lumen was in Jigdrel, she told Jacket, the Sunsola, around the Shisha and Shepaina. The Ravina Muni get in a Chopa, the Mega Tombo, Lama and Gurun Bachendao, oh, yeah, that indicate and Chini get also taunting Lama gay, and take a one some pin said in it, and tell around. Jigdrel Devanat in a Tagung Yonsu Toba, Tagung, and a Tawa to the Kana, Nari Tangem Tadam, Magusha, Tanyam, then by Yermigetawa, Dodema, Tinekorba, only get into town, Tene, Dela, Tene, Gombas, the Kawan, Yamlin, Jessibo, or at the Tanyam, then they get Devatanya, then by the Yermigetawa, want to shoot you, then a song yet of Tawan Kurkendi, the Letico was it. Tene, the Majona. Nibatelayan tene une satuki kyo oya tene ngoli ge rinzin namba ji kangrung tap taking kita chin nami rinzin ke sal let taking ya ta bung yong su do ba tanyam den ba yermi kita wala nyam ling che ne tene ba kung ba ya o tumbo de taking Tangaran to say it's a session, the Satan bullet taken to Indy, and Jigdrel, one could get that. How much is Sheva in when he Tindigita Gonsangi go bato, Dansatan Wolle, Chuniki Debatua, Dansangi go on to Matomaya, Chuniki Debamatua, Tindigit Tamati, you won't get any good Gilami checking the country go to Servanjo, Tini, one egg lamb dilla, David the Necro of Maranzana. Oh, yeah, and in Yabason deva, some Yaposon deva, into the nature of Yaposan. Tindic tending over, but then you can order holiday and Tambo will be checking, so in your marriage, you will check your marriage, you get them baton in the order. Satan book a total to it, and dance on my ship and Kazaka they want a curticulare. The thing you can't Nara, as you can about one of could you get checking chisel, checking the way, not dorsing, never have to catch you, no, per me. Logic getting was something at the neck or dorsing get some number. Oh, Dorje sent the Yambam Boomshi, Boomna, the Nesadum Boomjitanga. No, I had it in the town, the Lord, dear Chopa town, do the Jenny, Carrot, or Transit, the Tilimanga town, what and Chopa town in Yamarilla. They turned near around the contact tune check, they turned the union which Chopa can do nothing in anybody who is just here. They did warning it to sit on which can do not sure in. I can't answer and tell it, Jamgun which. Tene dongserim buje jaje kongi tene shalchim nane kiranzo tamche tene dorsum tene ngaranzo dunjun buje dorsum lakute nyame chana yabo yores kanane tene ba tene ki nyame chi yunzen do tene insare tete ki kama ngaranzo lama ya chi bangaran dunjun tersare tinane dongse tene ngaro buje kunjene dorsum go wangso pe mege yapo tene shiwayin te jabji dunjun buji kunjan la tobre ngalo chudim kawa jabji dunjun buji kunjan la kawa yongso ko nigar ko wang long chim topson tene la war dun se chim buji kunjan toba de wang de topson de wang toba zamji me se ji ge cham de ne nyendu ya ku shi ja se ta ne dosun pe ta da par de ina ngara dosun gi kin se ma sha wo tene ni ma ta war shi yong yo de indi ka kin sen tele tene ta wang kur chok tam za chi ta che so wang kur ju ge tene ta chekin de wo ina 교쇼데 년도 상화된 지들고 디딩하려 디딩가나 캔나발아 왕디 쿠피트레 마토게 원이게 똑같은 것도 당연히 때 일명문도 집어 상기 공부터에 가가 야 중요하게 때가 통되게 되고 된다니요 디딩다 화고 뭔가다 니다다 근데 그저 선배 고네 나한테 드리셔게 다 책임 수바데 배치 유에 디디게 가나 캔나바 탐지가 고 왕국인데게 왕제 꿀지 조사래 말에 Samnata the Ganta checking Tamandoti, Sandeva in the end of the Nijabuji, Tamjig Kokobare, or the end of Martin Regis, and that one Korean Grammatic Legico Service. Bunga Sato Bungisana, Logically Sato Umba the Satum Divat.
To begin with, one needs to have an understanding of what empowerment itself is, and in this regard, one needs to understand what the. So you have the Lama bestowing empowerment and Lamas or students receiving empowerment. So, what are the qualifications that the Lama bestowing empowerment needs to be endowed with, right? What are the qualifications, so to speak, for a Lama who is bestowing empowerment? Many great masters, such as Riksin Jigme Lingpa, the previous Dudjom Jigdrel, Yeshe, Dorje, and others, have explained the qualifications of such a master in terms of best, middling, and lesser. So. The best possible, the highest possibly qualified guru, the middling qualified, and the lesser qualified. The minimum level of qualifications needed. So the most highly qualified kind of guru who would grant empowerment would be someone who has the highest level of realization, someone who is realized and brought to full fruition the practice of Dharma Dhatu, the intrinsic nature of all things, someone who has realized that in full and basically reached enlightenment, realized enlightenment, someone like Guru Rinpoche, the Buddha. Middling would be someone who, in that regard also the Guyagarbha Tantra describes this kind of caliber of master. To paraphrase, the Guyagarbha Tantra states, such a master has fully realized or made fully manifest the view of inseparable purity and equality, and also perfected all types of meditation. Basically, they're a Buddha, they're fully enlightened. The middling type, the middling level of qualification for a master who is bestowing empowerment is that, okay, they might not be fully realized, they might not be fully enlightened yet, but they have realized, they have properly realized the inseparability of purity and equality, the highest view. They have brought that, they have manifested that to some degree, and as such they have attained what we call one of the noble levels. So they've attained one of the 10 bhumis, the levels to enlightenment, or one of the 4 types of Vidyadhara states. So at the very least they've attained the path of seeing, the first bhumi, which means they've directly realized the true nature of things. What are the minimum qualifications required for a master bestowing empowerment? The minimum qualifications are that, okay, this master might not have, this master might not be a Buddha, they might not be fully enlightened, they might not also have directly realized the intrinsic nature of things, the inseparability of purity and equality. However, they are well established on the path of practice, and they have engaged in relevant retreats and fulfilled the requisite mantra recitation activity and so on practices in a retreat setting as set out in the relevant scriptures. So these are the 3 levels of qualifications required that need to be, at least one of these level of qualifications needs to be fulfilled by anyone bestowing empowerment. So in my case, today I'm bestowing an empowerment on you. In my case, I'm certainly not the best kind of empowerment bestowing master. I'm not the middling either. I certainly don't have direct realization of the intrinsic nature, direct realization of the inseparability of purity and equality. However, I do fulfill the lesser type of qualifications. I have I have completed the relevant retreat practices. I have completed the relevant mantra recitation and activity practice and so on, as set out in the scriptures. Like I mentioned the other day, I completed a year-long Vajrasattva retreat. I practiced this sadhana of Vajrasattva in retreat intensively for a year. I fulfilled the requisite mantra recitation, which is 400,000 recitations of the 100-syllable mantra. I actually did 500,000. And I also completed 2,500,000 of the shorter mantra, Om Mudra Sato A. Of course, within a year-long period, you could actually complete many more mantra recitations, but I was also performing the ritual and all the other aspects of the ritual. So in formal sessions, 2 long sessions, 2 main long sessions each day. In terms of who I received the empowerment for this practice from, I received it from Chininobu Rinpoche, who is the same master that Kyabgon Chariot Rinpoche received the empowerment and transmissions from. And I've heard from you how Kyabgon Chariot Rinpoche received this empowerment and transmission from Chininobu Rinpoche, and then brought it back and passed it on to to you guys, his students at the time, and encouraged you to practice it and uphold this practice. I also received this empowerment personally from Dudjom Rinpoche, Jigdrel Yeshe Dorje, the previous Dudjom Rinpoche. I received actually the entire collection of teachings of Dudjom Lingpa and also Dudjom Rinpoche, Jigdrel Yeshe Dorje himself from Dudjom Rinpoche when I was quite young, and then again those cycles of teachings from Trini Nobo Rinpoche. I am a holder and practitioner of the Dudjom Tessa lineage, and those are two of the masters who I received those transmissions from. So to say again, since I have completed a year-long intensive retreat on this very Vajrasattva sadhana, and since then I have continued to practice it on a daily basis without break. That being the case, I do fulfill, of course, not the best set of qualifications, nor the middling. I don't have direct realization of the intrinsic nature of purity and equality, and so on. However, I do fulfill this lesser set of qualifications, and in this way, I am qualified to bestow on you this empowerment of the Guru Vajrasattva. That's all.
Oh yeah, Wang Nangang Lama Tila Tini that in this go, Wang Tobago, Wang Pinyanse Yabu. That Tamatian, the Nanyanse, down in a Thai Gazo, Nyanse Yabu, that the Indugala, that get him down to the Getakodation in but the Yabu Jase, or Nyanso Yabu in Jase, the Indugala, teacher, that cannot Lama Wong Shui, the Wong Singing, the Lama Wong Sugu to the time with the shooting and over the Indigenous degree of Mari. The Kona Lama Dia, Tampotaje Chigoyore, Malanzo, Gutsunala, Tamba Tangola Mata like you, Pardo Lama, ten like you, Sumba Concha, love like you, you with the Diana Lantundo, Sentine, Jimmy with the Sonjado, the Indukana, Namala Tatsea Poche, Losum getting the Tat, the Majona, Imangatu, Tachigorama, the Chiga Majene, Wanshuman Tigmar. The Indukana, and the Tangola Mata, the Lama de Yapoche, to Corona Church, and you didn't do them into. Lama Tia country to Juba country, the Toba country to Dudjom and Lama Tia Tajice. In a part of the Lama, the Netel like him, the Lama ran 10,000 Lami to Tamingava Jenny, Sana Dorjita, to take with Tamsil and Navy Goni. Until the Nego, the Netamting Nepa. The Super Lama going to love like Yava, the Lami Sunga Machine Rangi should to me. The name Chingone Rap to not make a Chiniki Debaton to what Tamaina and Chingone Partogenes to Trumagoa. Malo the Dudjom to buy the go away. Did the Canada, Charan to Tamjigin, Lama Target and Dudjom and Mishita, Jumian and Mishit, and I think it's a Charan to the thing like I say, Mari. The Indican Charan condition of Donna. Once again, the Tokyo, so take Maran to make Lama Tia top of the Jambajitan, Loma Tamukuta Tamang, Chambuyo Kenchi Juna, they want the Tokyo Remato, Lama la top of Mena. Lama want to go about it. Yeah. Loma Tapamanayam, then got up from Bashal Samchita to Chukatum Samchiki, want to go about it. Tin to Kanata, Tinika, Nika begin to Lama Lama Nikati, Tanda Tembachigo, that in the Kanata dancing around one Pemango, Howard and Nazo Boba Mitan, Drupa made the pair one like over it, only to do the big of Tamjishito. That dance on tea, room to report me. Yana Soleinare, Tavan Soleinare, that's the Euro America, so one sugar to Tamje, that they want to get me motion to Tamont and Mitigas window, they to come up into the one take our show. In the once again, the patch, not chimbering on it, let me touch but on commons a ray, Lama Topa Debajita, Loma Tebaji to a Muniki, some Gimacham nation of Chimbajete. Then Lama Toba me, Loma at the Tamsing Continent, Chilalo Nicolan teach, pendular how we get it, no duplicate in Yanga in the year. The tea from other things to Tola, one just of Chicoris. Talenta Mai Mao by in account of one to sugar and press on the congress.
So, as I've just said, when empowerment is given and empowerment is received, in terms of the teacher or the master bestowing the empowerment, they absolutely must be endowed with a degree of realization or a degree of accomplishment, right? They must have fulfilled these, yes, they must be qualified in the ways I set out. At the very least, as I said, at the very least, they must have completed the required amount of mantra recitation for the empowerment being given. Ideally, they should have done much more than that. They should have, ideally, they would have a realization of the intrinsic nature, or even be fully enlightened. But at the very least, they must have completed the required mantra recitation in a retreat setting. Really, to when we say they must have completed the required mantra recitation. In combination with that, then they should also have trained in the generation stage and the other aspects of that practice. So in short, those are the qualifications or the qualities that the teacher bestowing empowerment must be endowed with in order to make empowerment possible. From the student side, because it's not just the teacher who needs to possess certain qualities, the student receiving empowerment also needs to possess certain qualities. One of these is that they need to examine the teacher and be skilled in examining the teacher. The great master Jigdrel said, a student needs to first of all be skilled in examining the teacher. Then they need so at the outset, they need to be skilled in examining the teacher. After that, they need to be skilled in following the teacher. And finally, they need to be skilled in emulating the teacher's own realization. A student who proceeds like that will flourish. So first of all, at the outset, you need to be skilled in examining the teacher. At the very least, you should do this for a few days, right? Ideally much longer and quite extensively, but at the very least you should examine a teacher for a few days, observe their behavior, their conduct, what they're teaching, how authentic their teachings seem to you, what lineage they hold, where they come from, all of that you need to investigate and check them out for yourself. Once you've then examined them and decided to follow them, then you need to follow them properly, which means you need to keep the commitments that you've accepted, the samaya commitments and so on that you've accepted, observe those, don't break them, maintain your faith, and so on. Finally, you need to be skilled in emulating the teacher. How do we emulate the teacher? We do that by engaging in practice. Through practice, then we come to develop the teacher's own qualities within ourselves, right? The best outcome would be that we practice to the degree that we actually come to see the truth of reality, the truth of the intrinsic nature and manifest realization within ourselves. At the very least, though, we should be sure that as we engage in practice, we do so with a correct understanding of the way things are and don't fall into more confusion. So all of this is the student's responsibility. I won't say much more about that. You need to, yes, examining the teacher and so on is something that you need to do from your own side. That's your responsibility. The teacher's responsibility is to fulfill the qualifications and so on that I explained already. So, in short, when giving an empowerment, you have the teacher giving the empowerment, you have the students receiving the empowerment. They both need to fulfill certain, they both need to come to the empowerment with certain qualities. They need to fulfill certain causes and conditions in order to make empowerment possible, to allow it to take place. Otherwise, empowerment actually can't take place. Just enacting an empowerment ritual is not enough to bring empowerment about. Just chanting the empowerment manual, placing a ritual vase on someone's head and so forth isn't actually going to make empowerment happen. These days, empowerments are given here, there and everywhere. This is especially a Tibetan and Bhutanese habit. Tibetans and Bhutanese love to receive empowerment. If an empowerment is announced, then hundreds of people will flock there without a second thought to receive it. And this habit is spreading like contagion in Western countries and other countries, Taiwan also, Taiwan, America here, and so on. There aren't too many people here today, so that's something, but it is, that sort of habit is spreading. Of course, empowerment is something extremely blessed and extremely sacred. It's a very sacred procedure. But like I said, when empowerment is given, certain causes and conditions need to be present. The guru needs to have a degree of realization, and the student needs to have faith and pure perception. Otherwise, empowerment can't really take place, and even if it's given, it could end up doing more harm than good. So please keep these points in mind now, and also in the future when you consider receiving empowerment, other empowerments.
Oh yeah, Nita, Chidang the one second touch, but I want to shoot you down on down the nation, the 1 second the Tobayina, some of the good one. Some of the Pago Mount de Chibit, the one the Mepajal had the Pago Mount de Gishio Mare. The Indicana Sanaki goting out, the Indicana goes at Dana Kavanaya to settle goting out, one Mepajitini, not go the cavalry. Tanda Wong the Tebal Baguna, Tangam them by Elme, Angam them by Elme, Manguj Labrade. That Taman danger them, Tangam them by Elme, Yamne condition where it's a Tambo Wong go Yamnation or Tangam them by Elme. Then it won the top of it, Tangam them by Elme, Lam de Gongula, Rawan Topato, Tangarana, Chochin Topanaji, Keranso, and Kedemana visit, organizing up in Australia, you can visit to Puma, visit Matulunga, they won't show window. The Kanta, visit the Australia, Australia, Petina, one the top subject, the son of the Lamdi, carrying the Zorinki, Lambda, to the subject, Gomcho, the Kala, one thing, Pemiki Ketcho, Sanga, the Goshu to the one, Sanga, one tuna, the Patakyo, Parches at your, in some material such. Then Papa to Yantin, Doji Sempa again, she was using not to subject household computer, she do not do it. But some of the chip, that's the moment, so the Doji Sempa to it, Doji Sempa, you do Shivala in a concession. You do Doji Sempa, the Nicaragua, something about the Gindu travel to the tea, you have the constant Doji Sempa. Doji Sempa, the Ram, drum and Mangota, she was told on the ground of Kazuri, Highland and Dudjom. Any concept in Java Shitro to Dorje, teacher Yeshe, Dorje symbol to Dorje, Tini, Tea Canta, Dorje symbol, Fajrasattva, not Dawatam, Tini, Topong to Kiri, Topakatini, Mitomucho Gomba, taking the Kinech symbol, Louis, the Ned, then Dorje symbol, Jalaya, the Pitita water passes away, soon in a rangi Devatan, Chopa, Penangaramina. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupala is the Dudjom, Swap, Tevatan, Jigdrel, Vajrasattva, Tinjig Pioneer, any when you get Ravilat, Ranga took me to Dodges and Goman, the Tijan name, Gavashimusan, Kimishavare. Oh, I think that Dodges and Juntation, you do something which I don't show. Our Mongo get in a shake your cousin Yamani in a chicken shades. I bet a sign and theatre on that computer and doesn't compute and tea don't show us a word. And that tea in your Mongo Shella and circular energy. That into Tanjig, you hold the covers and one the they three months that Dorje to go on the years.
So, as I just said, empowerment is something extremely blessed, extremely precious and sacred. It is the entryway to Vajrayana. How do we enter into, how do we kind of make our initial entrance into Vajrayana? The vehicle of secret mantra? Well, it's by receiving empowerment. So in this way, empowerment is like the doorway or the gateway into the Vajrayana, the path of secret mantra. Without receiving empowerment, one is not able to then engage in Vajrayana practice. The deity yoga is involving deity visualization, mantra recitation, samadhi, and so forth. And without engaging in those practices, one cannot come to realize the consummate view of the great inseparability of purity and equality. That view that we talked about in a lot of detail over the past 2 nights, right? So we talked a lot about this inseparability of purity and equality, but how do we come to actually realize that? We talked about its qualities and unique qualities, but how do we come to realize that and bring that into our own experience? Well, the first step of doing that is receiving empowerment, like I've just said. Empowerment being the entryway into Vajrayana. Because one thing empowerment does is it gives you permission, it authorizes you, so to speak, to engage in the path of tantric practice, the path of the two stages of generation and completion. And engaging in this path enables you to realize directly for yourself the great inseparability of purity and equality, the purity and equality of all things. So in this way, empowerment gives you authorization to engage in this practice that then can transport you or deliver you to this state of realization. It's a bit like receiving a visa. Say when you invited me here to Australia and I agreed to come, well then I had to go and request a visa, right, at the embassy. And it was only once I got the visa that I could then travel here to Australia. So empowerment is a bit like a visa, we could say, right? It permits you to then travel somewhere. All of this is to say that empowerment is extremely sacred, an extremely sacred and precious procedure or occurrence. It has enormous benefits. Just by receiving empowerment, our misdeeds and obscurations are purified, our obstacles are cleared away, we receive blessings and so on. In terms of receiving this specific empowerment of the deity Vajrasattva, well, the deity Vajrasattva embodies all of the 100 deities of the peaceful and wrathful mandalas. Yesterday, in the previous days of teaching, I mentioned we were talking about the Guyagaba Tantra that is based on the magical matrix of infinite peaceful and wrathful deities. All of those infinite deities and mandalas can be condensed into the 100 deities, the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities. And those 100 deities can be condensed in the sense that they're embodied within Vajrasattva himself, the sovereign deity Vajrasattva. So to receive empowerment into sovereign deity Vajrasattva and to engage in the practice of Vajrasattva is something exceptionally blessed, exceptionally powerful. Because Vajrasattva embodies all infinite deities in this way, simply by seeing Vajrasattva's enlightened form, by encountering his enlightened form, by hearing his 100-syllable mantra, and if we go a step further and actually recite that mantra for ourselves and engage in the practice of Vajrasattva, we receive enormous benefits, really extraordinary benefits. Just like I said, by encountering Vajrasattva's enlightened form, his enlightened speech in the form of the 100-syllable mantra and so on, his enlightened wisdom mind, that is the non-conceptual state of wakefulness. By virtue of this, our misdeeds, our obscurations will be purified and we will receive so many other benefits. You also requested me, when requesting me to bestow this empowerment, you also asked me to teach on Vajrasattva, and that we will do tomorrow. So I will say more about Vajrasattva tomorrow. I won't go on today. But just to sum up, receiving empowerment is an extremely precious and sacred thing. Like I've said, it has these many benefits, and it is the entryway into Vajrayana practice that then enables us to gain realization for ourselves. That's all.
Shini wang sikini kaase minji ki wang trochi ki dabas la re. Minji ki wang sikini na pena ngazo sabun sara tabai na. Te sabun sara ya jegiri wa yap pe mi ya fu jegiri. Te ma jo na ding ding jegiri. Thamta na ma jena ko chutang de anzom so ba je ni ni ko to siem ko wa. O te minji ki wang sara re. Te ne trochi ki te ne thika sa ta te ki ne japten ta thik ya ne. Te gom dang gom so de la ko yo. Te ndu ka la 다 왕디 꾸르게 되는 게 겨우 rab도에 있는 Lama Chopa Chopa Ranga Tepata Lenchun 좀 되게지나 Wang Kurmata, Chichiga, and Lam, Topa Julasha, Tangam, Deva, Yermikoba, one to shut in Tayo, Penna, Momatine Karabarana, into Jalo, Indapudina, Savata, in a Sanji, one Kuru, and they call someone to one person, talking to in the position. One Kuranya, Chichiga, Gom Jamo, Chichiga, Gomo, Yabatamo, Topa to in a Shakir. A young Kashigum, the name Guru Jamang, Shitana, one Kurung de Kanate, one Dungi, and Gulashan. Only che tanti scialzo o tinto che te ne corba ogni che per mi che sa tumbola che ne coba un giorno mi tira ciumio te kun je long zai ran zhen ge tu so ya wang ku de ma yi tam ge la ngo su de lo ma tam je mi ge tong bio ge te ne corba jimbi chi de ka la re ne lo ma re ge chi zu ma tin do lama ge sik lo ma khorong zo tong na anang ki tin ko na wa te ne ko pa da zu tan ji ngo ne ha zo na ane ke inji ke man dance ge na ma ban kan to tan je ge tin de ge in Kidigi Chungarnia Calvas on the Train Chumoyer. Oh, yeah, Tinda Mayana, one the course of years old, Tine Rala, Tagisagin, that Tamate, promotion token as in the when a visa to an as in the that Lamala Tansi Mayam, Chela Lota, Mashu, oh, yeah, Tinda Chuns of Tini, when it does a big Pagdom, Labdana, Tini, Maransuna, the public getting Jushawatan. General Chavata, Salmon Tapsavan, you will give them what they got Charwadi Pop and another trade of them, give them. You can come up. Somebody never take a Charapam and Yimashan and that council and a Kujiman. Think the stuff the thoughts of it is Papon and not on acting Nibachata until round like the naked about Markai, Tangam by Yermeto, Tangam by Yermit, that's all what simply thought of Tangam by Yermit, Tangam by Yermit is a Sangi combat. They did it. We can get the pentagon dress. One music, one thing, the seventh about the race, that's the big example. Oh, yeah, any Lamia music, you didn't when I shoot at Dorje so much, I can't.
Empowerment is described as being that which ripens. The scriptures talk about ripening empowerment, because empowerment is similar to the process of planting or sowing a seed in the ground. Empowerment, sows a seed in the student's mind stream. And if, having received empowerment, we then engage in practice properly, accordingly, then it's a bit like once you've sown a seed in the soil, you then keep the seed watered and provide it with enough sunshine and so on. You give it the causes and conditions to grow, and then that seed will grow and develop into a strong and fruitful plant, right? So, yeah, empowerment is a process of ripening, or it is that which ripens. In addition to empowerment, we have the liberating instructions, what are called the liberating instructions. These support the empowerment and nurture that process of ripening. If the student receiving empowerment really has deep-rooted faith, pure perception, and they have karmic connections with the teachings from previous lives, if they have that degree of fortune, then it's possible that just by receiving empowerment, they can gain full realization, such that when they sit down to receive the empowerment, they are without realization, and by the end of the empowerment, they are endowed with realization. So there have been students, Vajrayana students like this in the past. One such student was King Indrabhuti. Just by receiving it, he was of such a high caliber of a student that just by receiving empowerment, he attained full realization. So when the nature of things was pointed out to him as part of the empowerment process, he realized that fully right there and then. And gained what we call simultaneous realization and liberation. So the whole process for him was over by the end of the empowerment. Some of Guru Rinpoche's 25 heart disciples were similarly blessed. They received, or rather they developed direct realization during the empowerment process. They had visions of the deities and attained high levels of realization just during the empowerment process. This is what's possible when the student is of that caliber. Similarly, during Longchenpa's time, when he gave empowerment, often his students would actually see the deity they were being empowered with. They would see that deity directly. And during the descent of blessings, which is an important part of the empowerment, during the descent of blessings, the students would perceive the given deity, an individual form of the given deity descending onto the head of each student in the assembly. So such things are possible and do happen. At the very least, though, even if one is not as fortunate enough to have such experiences, at the very least, by receiving empowerment from a qualified teacher and receiving it with faith and trust, one is then granted authorization to henceforth engage in the related practices of deity and mantra, the Vajrayana practices of deity and mantra, which enable you to gain realization of the consummate view of the inseparability of great purity and equality. So this is from the Dzogchen perspective, right? That from the Dzogchen perspective, the consummate view is the inseparability of great purity and equality, which is what we talked quite a lot about in the previous days. So by receiving empowerment, at the very least, you are granted permission to engage in the tantric practices that will enable you to gain such realization. So just to reiterate, the process of ripening empowerment is like sowing a seed, and once you've received empowerment, if you apply yourself to practice, that process of engaging in the path is like watering the seed, nurturing the seed, so that it can grow into realization of the state of great purity and equality. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, Wang is a over the condition, 1 second the condition is a tangote, 1 second get on that day in Sanskrit, Abi Kansas. Abi is an umbas, the Kansas, not in a Torwa, the Nekarabara, Lupitan, the Kala, the Abi Kansas, the Abi Kansas, the Kala, Abi second the Nekarabara, Aranjana. This was Lupa, Kansas and Torah, like Abi Kansas. They become Abi Kansas again. Wombat of Torah was become Wombas again, the Lupitan. Alsanata Peki, Chuni, Tanyam, Demba, Yermi, Musum to Tempa over them. Oh, yeah, Gombi kitchen, Musum to Lupi, and the Wombas, Kansas again, Torbitan. Torbitan. Torkansana, Diti Pasa from the Torbitana, Kansas, Tintikala, Abisina, the name this word, Kansas, Chinap Jupiter, Kansas, and Rangi, Duki Shijibal, and Yomon Pitibala, so be Dona Sadanongi, Parchetam, Torre, the Abi Kansas, the Kala, Chinap Lupatan, Parchetam, Diti Torbitant, Tintikala, when you get Lama Chetan, Demba Chigla, Lama Chetan, Demba Chiwan Shuni. Gomlam Gomia would jump to China Sangi Kovanta, the Pemigazim, Halever, Tea, Yashe. In the Matun Nayam, one the shoe, Lama Tamtik, the Mayam, one the shoe Shavayena, and when you get an errand, the Titi Tabatan, or yet the net salt Zobatan, Barsisha, the pension, thing under Pova with the Jango in Dugan, Lama Tamango in Dugala, Tindy on like house with Jinsinji danger, Diana and one should you go, Tamjus will see some time to Timadon. And Kel Tabata, and Chujong and Osado, and I Kel Tap and Chujong and Ochadro. And then they get a team, the Abi Kansas, the count on that day, Mombatan, Torbic, and the Abis and Mumba, Onsum to Chinap Juba, Kansas and Toro. I think the kind of day they will turn the la, Abi Kansas, Yagarka, Abi Kansas, Abisina, Mombare, Kansas, and Torba, the team, the Abi Kansas Labris.
So, what is the meaning of the actual meaning of the word empowerment? In Sanskrit, the word empowerment is abhikensa. So Abi means, the first part of this word, abi, means to pour or to present. And kensa means to scatter or to dispel. So this is the kind of the source word for what we call empowerment, abhikensa, Sanskrit. So the first part of this word, abhi, means to pour or to present, to make visible. To make what visible, or to sort of to pour what? The view, essentially, the view of inseparable purity and equality. The second part of the word, kensa, means to dispel or to scatter. So referring to the fact that empowerment dispels or scatters our misdeeds, our obscurations, and our habitual tendencies. So this is what bestowing and receiving empowerment does. It pours into our mind stream, or makes manifest to us the natural state of things, the view of inseparable purity and equality, and it scatters and dispels the misdeeds, obscurations, and habitual tendencies that are obscuring that from us. The first part of the word, abhi, also has the connotation of pouring blessings into one's being, sort of filling one up with blessings. And to reiterate, the second part of the word, kensa, means to scatter or dispel the obscuration of the afflictions and the obscuration of the cognitive obscuration, so that the two types of obscuration. In short, all the factors that prevent us from attaining the stages and paths to enlightenment. This being the case, since that is the nature of empowerment, when a qualified guru and a qualified student bestow and receive empowerment, the best possible outcome is that just through the process of giving and receiving empowerment, then the enlightened state, the natural state of things, is manifested, realized, and whole job done just by receiving empowerment. However, even if we're not at that level, not able to receive empowerment in that way, there are still many benefits to receiving empowerment. By receiving empowerment, receiving it properly, with faith and so on, then our mind stream becomes imbued with blessings, and our obscurations and misdeeds are purified to some degree. And if we then, having received empowerment, we maintain the commitments, because empowerment comes with certain commitments. If we maintain those commitments and maintain faith and don't fall prey to wrong view and so on, then we accrue many benefits, just like I've explained. It's because of these benefits that the Tibetans are always running after empowerment. So in a sense, they're quite smart, actually. It's because they recognize the benefits, the power of empowerment, that they are always running to receive empowerments. Where they fall short is that they don't always observe the commitments that are taken during those empowerments. And then it can be a bit like a dog trying to jump, trying to follow a lion, and falling down an abyss. That's
Tende kala ta wang de za chimbor de wang ge topchi ge gyun ta gen shi sen yo so wang top dang de kan ta wang kan ri top re lama go wang kun ne kan ri top la na topchi ge gyu ta ne gyu ye ta gen shi se yo gyu ni se ge kan ra na chung den ge gyu ta hen ji ke bi gyu se gyu na ba ye chi dang ta gyu no ngo ba zo na shi ne youtube gen ji kan gen ji Anju nga sa tatin raman mo pe yewa mo shei gyo nga so chaman namro so dang mo ba so tatin ba sha ne tanda de shi na gyunyi de ka sa na chungden gi gyo se da rinji je bi gyo se ni wa re ta chungden gi gyo se na ka sa na nga la so mi je la na pungbu nga su gu pungbu so ro shin du na ba shi pungbu nga yo de ne nga ra so la za long tigli yo Tindu kama tatsa na yang han ne de lung la yang han ne de ne kraba sa lung thili yang han ne de tinga ran zo pumbu nga la yang ne kraba ran zo gi ne jalwa ringe ge la ne de ta tin na ne zo de ne semla simgi ge ngo de ne kraba ran zo sangye de ti ne nga ran zo ne chi ge mi shen da de te ba de dan de ngue ba de dan sa de sue ba de de da mai ba nga ran zo mi ta che la ne ngaran so gi ne sa lung thili e dan ta den de o tin de ta ni ka chen tu den dorji lu top ne sen ta ka chen tu den se mi lu de wang shu da ya bor ma hai lu ren wang shu da ki ten lu ya ko mar se wo ki nya la ba ta tin lo da wang thu gen ma o ya ne pa sa ya ma ma ye se gen ga zo mi le ta ga de se de ten zo la ya wang to pi ki ka la yang ta ba yo ma tin de ka wang tu ki de mi de ka chen tu den dorji lu top se de ngaran mi lu de ka ma sa chen bo de tindu ngaran tsa da lung da thili so tham che la Yeshe ti ne chap de o ya ti chap de ti de chi te ti zo de ka na ngaran sem chin tam je ju la buddha ne ja si ro ta ki ji ke de na o ya de jing ni bo de ye bi jin sen ki te ne ngaran wang da cha yi a shu de tindu te la chung den gi ju sa chung ro de bi ju di ran sin ngaran mi ki ho de ka la ya ti de jing ni bo de yam de ye te tindu te la chung de gi ju Then Henji TV use that something is good there, the Henji TV good man, ya want to my Henji TV good Lama. Lama wong you're taking, Yamin you're taking, then one with Jiva you're taking, one could do a challenge taking. Today, Johnson, then Henji TV, Ken second, Henji TV use and the Lama, good mean on Divina, one the good mean on Divina, something is used and carrying around something you're the Bache, Henji TV use and the Lama Lay Bache. Lama tati ni diam di kala te wang to kyu gi ne ge ngarang so e gyu jin do chi ka se gyu ti ne ji yo res ta ta gen shi na je la pin san ti so.
So that was about the essence or the nature of empowerment itself. Now how do we actually attain empowerment? Not just receive empowerment, but actually sort of attain empowerment. In order to attain empowerment, we could say receive, but actually receive it properly. In Tibetan, there's two different verbs. So I'll just say attain. Maybe that's clearer. So how to actually attain empowerment? To attain empowerment, we need essentially 2 causes and 4 conditions. We could explain this in a more detailed way in terms of, say, 6 causes, 4 conditions, 5 results, and so on, as cause and condition is often presented in the Abhidharma teachings and so on. But to explain it in a more concise way, we can say that in order to actually receive empowerment, actually attain empowerment, we need to have 2 causes and 4 conditions. So what are these 2 causes and 4 conditions? First of all, the 2 causes. They are the inherent cause and the circumstantial cause. So what is the inherent cause? The inherent cause refers to the fact that we all have the 5 aggregates. We all have form, our physical form, we have feelings, we have perception, conditioning factors, and consciousness. We all have subtle channels, winds, and essences within our physical body. And all of these are filled with the deities. They are naturally within our subtle channels, winds, and essences. The deities naturally abide. They're spontaneously present there. Likewise, our 5 aggregates of form and so on. They are, by their very nature, the 5 Buddha families, deities of the 5 Buddha families. The same goes for our mind. Our mind, our basic awareness, is by its very nature the deity. This is not something that is contrived. It's not something that is created. It's not something that is like a state that is kind of given to us. This is simply how it is. This is the uncontrived, unfabricated nature of our 5 aggregates, our subtle body, our mind. This is what's meant when the Vajrayana teachings describe human beings as being endowed with the 6 elements. I talk about humans having the Vajra body endowed with the 6 elements. This refers to the fact that we have a physical body endowed with the subtle channels, winds, and essences, which are infused with the deity, which are the nature of the deity. Our mind is the nature of primordial wisdom. This is a very special support that enables us to really attain empowerment, Vajrayana empowerment, in a way that beings with other types of bodies cannot. There are beings in the god realms, right, and the demigod realms. They do not have this Vajra body endowed with the 6 elements, and as a result they cannot attain empowerment in the way that we can. So this human body that we have is extremely precious, extremely valuable in this way. In short, this the first of these 2 causes, the inherent cause, refers to the fact that all sentient beings have Buddha nature, or Sugata Garbha. Being endowed with Buddha nature allows us to attain empowerment. So that's the first of the 2 causes, right? The inherent cause. The second cause is the circumstantial cause. This refers to the presence of a qualified guru. So a qualified guru who is endowed with the lineage of the empowerment, who holds the transmissions, who is properly trained, who has a degree of realization, and so on. So when these 2 causes come together, then one is able to attain empowerment, when in addition one has the 4 conditions, which is what I'll explain now.
Sawang Sherwang de Melon, Tsawang Bush, Shaki to the Tata Shamere, the one Kurgre, Tinsu one the Z, and Telatine Raleigh, Tindu around the Chekitna, Lama, and Chek, one gets and the Timbashido, Chik, 10 Gorman, to Tendo Tambotin, Lama, one take each one down on the one to Chevere, Lama get in a Pumbatam to the Harke, and a Pumbatam to the Harke. Yang alta ini cinggi lap ini tak orang tu sengaja ini cinggi lap kejar dorna ini cinggi lap tang deh cidang deh cinggi lap belasan kena mahir pa kurang di kingkur kurang ini hitam ke larsal ni tidak deh orang kita lama tang ada ye metusal ni mungkin sal beri ada ten tikur di tanah yang orang kur ini kau cakap lama kurang yang hitam Dorje sembayar tang orang ini sal kau tu cinggi ni lama solat orang hitam gerang bingung desa yang pengalayo tidak ini saya lama ya cina ya para Sakang satu tu je, kerana tu yang ini tamsik semba, keseng mau kerana tu tamsik yang itu ni lasa gitu ni, pembigi uang kerja lah, sang jalan sherwan tu cuan bocor bah, sudah kurkuti, ini bunyi nam duit ni kau su, ini ceku sekian nam duit ores, ceku lagi lah semua, tinggi, sunting itu dah tinggi tu, ceku itu nanti ceku shortcut ceku, tinggi.
One more note about the second of these 2 causes. So we have the inherent cause and the circumstantial cause, right? So the circumstantial cause refers to the presence of a qualified guru, like I just explained. But in addition to that, also the requisite tantric substances, specific material substances are also necessary as a medium to transmit empowerment. So those are a part of the circumstantial cause. These substances refer to, in terms of the 4 empowerments, the vase for the vase empowerment, skull cup for the wisdom knowledge empowerment, a ritual mirror for the secret empowerment, and a crystal for the 4th word empowerment. These substances need to be present, and they need to be consecrated consecrated during the empowerment preparation, which is what Rinpoche was doing earlier during the first session, right? And they are then sort of charged, so to speak, as mediums for bestowing the empowerment. For instance, to take the ritual vase through which the vase empowerment is bestowed. During the empowerment preparation, the master blesses the vase, but blesses in the sense that the master actually manifests the ritual vase, makes the ritual vase manifest into the mandala of the deity whose empowerment is going to be bestowed, inseparable with the lineage, with the root guru and the lineage gurus and so on. Likewise for the other empowerment substances. During the empowerment preparation, the master also visualizes themselves as the deity whose empowerment they're going to bestow. Visualizes in a sense they actually perceive or conceive of themselves as that deity. And during the empowerment process, the student is also required, to the best of their ability, to perceive themselves as the deity. So all of this pertains to the second of those two causes, the circumstantial cause. So from here on, I'm going to explain just briefly, because it's almost 9:30 and I haven't actually started the empowerment yet. So the four conditions. So the four conditions are the causal condition, the dominant condition, the focal condition, and the preceding condition. The causal condition refers to the fact that you, the student, you have Buddha nature. Buddha nature is the fiber of your being. You just haven't, that's how it is, you just haven't recognized it yet. You are self-arisen wakefulness. That's what you are, you just haven't recognized it. That's the first. The second condition, the dominant condition, refers to the fact that the guru is qualified, that they have a degree of realization, they've completed the requisite mantra recitation, and so on. The focal condition refers to the ritual substances such as the vase, the skull cup, and so on, that these are filled with the correct substances such as amrita and so on, and that those substances have been consecrated by the teacher. The Then the preceding condition refers to the different stages of the empowerment being performed one after the other. Beginning with the distributing the ablution water, which we've already done, proceeding then to the next stage, which is dispelling the obstructors with the torma to the obstructors, and then beginning giving the vase empowerment, and following that the secret empowerment, and so on. So moving through all the stages of the empowerment one after the other. So each one leads successively to the next. This is the preceding condition. So now I'm going to explain in terms of I'm going to explain the lineage. I'm going to explain the lineage in terms of the threefold division of the wisdom lineage, the symbolic lineage, and the herd lineage of humans. So the wisdom lineage refers to the Dhammakaya Buddha Vajradhara, the Sambhogakaya Buddha Vajrasattva, and the Namanakaya Buddhas of the 5 families.
Yeah, Gongju Chana Dagul Hiam in the Kapsu, and a Garab Dorje, most Dorjes and Big Michel Nelvaris, Dorjes and Michel Delsham, Dorjes and One Gotore, then a Garab Dorjes, then a Jalodzares, and one Dorjes and Bongos, shall Javi, Shalton, Dorjes and Big this year. That the church in another thing, the name Jalodzares, the Jalodzae, the Shiris Naris, Shiris Sanajal Hunkaris, the Hunkaris and Gurubuchis.
So then we have the symbolic lineage. Lineage here is referring to the line of transmission, right? So the symbolic lineage or line of transmission starts with Garab Dorje. He received transmission directly from Buddha Vajrasattva. He then transmitted the teachings to Gyalpo Za, who also had direct visions of Buddha Vajrasattva. Gyalpo Za then passed the teachings to Shri Singha, who passed them to Hunkara, who passed them to Guru Rinpoche, and Guru Rinpoche then passed them on. So this is the line of transmission, the symbolic line of transmission.
Ini lo chen tene ngaram suna bero sana tene mari chen tene nya yana kumara tene topun kichung lo sa ite ge tene nyen kires lo chen bero sana nya yana kumara mari chen tene ma chune nya yana kumara topun kichung lo sa dunjung ko kuma ta
So then we have the oral transmission. I said the heard transmission before. Let's say the oral transmission. This begins or began with the Dharma King Trison Detsen and his son Murup Sempo and so on. It then was passed on to Kachin Za, meaning Yeshe Tsogyal, Dakini Yeshe Tsogyal, from her to the great translator Verotsana, then to Marinchin June, then to Gyana Kumara, and from him to Drop-in Kyochung Lotsawa. That's the line of what should I say? The oral line of transmission. Thank you.
Tene di jela tattergi jubani gore shigen tatidi kami kai jubare ti ta tine ma tergi jubajena te thadung dunjung ba ingere sangaran tu samnan thadung dunjung ba thadung dunjung bi jela tin Jigdrel shi Dorje khona lapshana ande ya Jigdrel ngidin tenze ongo khona de chai lama Dudjom kongo lama Jigdrel tenze ongo Jigdrel tenze ongo Yedente Dudjom kongo lama re tene tei jela Dudjom baje khona ro tene Dudjom baje jela Dorje tene ndro baje te tene ndro yote ha chuchi.
Then we can also talk about the line of transmission of the treasure teaching, right? The line of transmission of this practice in terms of it as a treasure teaching. In that case, the transmission goes as follows. It begins with the Heruka Dudjom Lingpa, was passed from him to one of his main students, Gyatun Tenzin Wangpo, who then transmitted it to Dudjom Rinpoche, Jigdrel Yeshe Dorje, who then transmitted it to his son, Trini Nobu Rinpoche, who then transmitted it to me. So that's the line of transmission.
Lama da Dorje Sempa yerme tu tubju de tene tasho Lama sanje Lama chu tishin Lama gindin de kunji chebo la Lama pachen Heruka ase da gyudna te sonja tene ta ngaram so ke tene tubju thamje te Lama tubju cha chi sho Lama tian tene Guru Rinpoche ngo tubju chi ta Lama Dorje Sempa ngo tubju chi te ta ngaram Lama Dorje Sempa ngo tubare Mashi Guru Machita Dorje Sempa Kepa Kan Sanki Sanki Nika Sanki Tin you can let Dorje Sempa the Don Koran to get a model going to take what Tala and Chilla Julia, Toby Shigula, Zetu Kela, Sovata, Dorje Sempa and the Mawucher. They can say it in a teme, there are the Savila Masu Yina, not in a day, in a corporate San Sanki Dorje Sempa in, Nebugoni, do on the Kanatine, and Chilla Yopa Julieta, what Jolo Tobi, Dioris, 10 years.
So I'll leave the explanation of empowerment here, and we will get started with the empowerment proper. In this practice, Vajrasattva is inseparable with one's guru, and to visualize or to conceive of the deity as being inseparable, identical with one's guru, is of great blessings, an extremely powerful and blessed approach. As the Tantras state, the Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dhamma, the Guru is the Blessed Sangha, the Guru is the doer of all, the great Heruka, the Guru who embodies all. So one's Guru does embody all deities. So in this way, when we practice, we can, the deity is always inseparable from one's guru. So sometimes if we're practicing Guru Rinpoche, then we are visualizing our guru in the form of Guru Rinpoche. When we're practicing Vajrasattva, we are perceiving our guru in the form of Vajrasattva, and so on. Essentially, of course, there's no difference between Guru Rinpoche and Vajrasattva. They are both the Buddha. However, to take the form of Vajrasattva, the deity Vajrasattva, has a lot of blessings. Like I mentioned, there are immeasurable benefits to practicing Vajrasattva. He's a supreme method for purifying our obscurations, clearing away our misdeeds and obstacles. He's an extremely powerful catalyst for bringing about the realization of the true nature of things. So there are extraordinary benefits to practicing the Guru in the form of Vajrasattva. A lot of blessings to that. We now will begin the main part of the empowerment. So to begin, please all of you present a mandala.